The English Lesson by Christine Harrison. I took longer than expected. There's no bus out this way, you know? What did you see on the way, miss? Any blokes working on the roads, miss? You know, miss, any blokes stripped to the waist, miss? Cool, miss. I did not pass one single solitary soul on the way, she said. Sorry, she added. She passed copies of a poem round, handing one to the girl who sat on the radiator, who let it drop through limp fingers to the floor. Another girl, sitting in front, at once used hers to place underneath her nail varnish. Would you like to read, Sandra? No, miss. What about you? Karen, isn't it? Carol, miss. No, thanks, miss. Well, I'll read it to you first. She cleared her throat. Mariana, she said, by Alfred Lord Tennyson. She began reading the poem and became quite lost in it. She only said, my life is dreary, he cometh not, she said. She said, I am a-weary, I would that I were dead. I wish I was dead, miss, said Sandra. There was a slight pause. Anything else? Any other thoughts? No? Only the breath of the asthmatic girl, Nicola, broke the silence. A freezing fog had begun to darken the room. She crossed the room and switched on the strip lighting. Oh, sod off. The girl, who had her head down on her arms, angrily turned her face the other way. Shall I give the books out now, miss? Thank you, Ruth. The copies of the Dickens novel were tattered. Maroon covers, Crookshank illustrations. Where were we? Yes, Mrs. Quilp, page 39. Let's see what happens next. Only Ruth opened her book, muttering to herself as she turned the pages. Oh, that sod Quilp. Why do you wear your wedding ring on the wrong hand, miss? It was the girl who was sitting on the radiator, speaking for the first time. You divorced, miss? The second layer of nail varnish was going on with utmost care. She turned the page. I am a widow, she said. Would anyone like to read for a bit? You're too young to be a widow, miss. A widow, miss, in awed tones. What did he die of, miss? Well, how long you been a widow, miss? Did you murder him, miss? Shut up, you, said Ruth. Got any kids, miss? She closed the book, keeping the place with her finger. I have been a widow for nearly 2 years. My husband died of heart failure following pneumonia. I have a boy of 3.5. His name is Paul. Now, shall we make a start? Who's looking after him, miss? Well, your little boy. Got a photo of him, miss? She looked at the girls. The expression of deep interest on their querulous faces. When we have read to the end of the chapter, she said, I will show you a photograph of Paul. Would you like to read, Carol? Page missing, miss. Ruth? It's too hard. Miss, great long words. You read it, miss. You read nice. As she turned the pages, the Crookshank figures attempted to climb out of them and walk about the room and sit, frowning and twitching among the English class. When she had finished the chapter, She took out a slightly creased photograph of her little boy and passed it to Ruth. "Be careful," she said. "Pass it round carefully." They passed it round with the greatest of care. "He's lovely, miss. How can you bear to leave him to come to this bloody place? Who's looking after him?" "My mother," she said. "Ah," they cooed. "I bet she loves him, miss. Ain't you lucky, miss? Bring him with you next time, miss. We'll look after him for you. Yeah, we'll look after him while you read to us." She smiled at this and put the photograph back in her briefcase. "We'll finish with a very short poem," she said. She felt calmer. She handed round the copies she had bought. "It's not in the syllabus. See what you think of it," she said. There was a fidgety silence. Then Ruth, with her blunt vowels, read very slowly, stumbling here and there. "Will no one say hush to thee, poor lass, poor bit of a wench? Will never a man say, come, my pigeon, come and be still wi' me, my own bit of a wench? And would you peck out his eyes if he did?" "Did you write that, miss?" "No, it was written by D.H. Lawrence." She wrote his name on the blackboard, but the girls had all turned their eyes to the door, where a young nun stood, silent, still, immaculate and beautiful. Ruth flashed dark red. The girl on the radiator slid off. They shuffled clumsily into line, ready to go to their next class. Ruth was last to go. "Goodbye, miss." "Goodbye, Ruth." She collected the tatty books and cleaned the board, then, following the nun, waited while the door was unlocked for her. "Next week," she said. "Yes, I'll come." Once on the road, she started to run. She stopped to rest by an open gate leading into a frosted, ploughed field. Someone had flung a torn shirt over the gate. It belonged to a young man tinkering with a tractor. She could see the curves of his backbone as he bent over. Another older man said something. She turned away. After she had walked a little way, she hears one of them call out after her, "Want a lift, lady?" She heard them laugh.